Week 8 is upon us. We've had 2 straight back-to-back weeks of positive picks. Let's go for a 3rd straight week. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back into the Bears Den, an NFL podcast with the Chicago Bears First Focus. I am your host, Alex, and today, Week 8 pick'ems. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get into it. Week 7 last week had 8-7 records, so we cut it close, but we still are cooking, right? Total record now in the season is 56-51, so getting a little bit of a lead there, something that, I definitely can be a bit happy about, and I'm going to look to continue building on that going through week 8 here. So, week 8 kicks off tonight. We've got Minnesota and the LA Rams playing. So that should be a pretty good game. But as always, I'm using the Playoff Predictor website. You can use this website. It can save your picks and you can kind of keep track, and it gives you the live standings and everything like that. So with that being said, we will go ahead and we'll get into it. We'll start the AFC matchups as always. If I sound a little bit sick, I am fighting a little bit of a cold, so I do apologize for that. With that being said, let's get into the AFC matchups. We have an AFC South divisional battle between the Colts and the Texans. I like Houston here. I think that, Houston is going to bounce back from, their rough offensive performance they had this past week against Green Bay. I think that, that was a little bit of an anomaly for CJ Stroud. I think that he'll be able to bounce back, and I think that, whether it's Anthony Richardson in a QB or Joe Flacco, I just think that the Colts are a little bit limited, and I think that if they lose this game, Indy's still going to be 4-4, so it's not like they're out of the picture. But I just think that Houston needs this win; they're going to want it more, and they're at home, so I think that's going to benefit them. Up next, we got Baltimore, Cleveland. I'm going to go Baltimore here. This one's probably a little bit closer than I would have picked had Deshaun Watson not gone down with the Achilles. But I think now that Jameis Winston will be likely the starter, I think that, Cleveland will improve. But I just think that Baltimore is super hot right now. They won 5 straight. They look really, really dominant. And Derrick Henry has been feasting. So I think that that's going to continue on the road here for the Ravens. Up next, Jets, Patriots. I'm going with New England here. Now, I know that New England might be one of the worst teams in the league, right? I think that they've looked better with Drake May. But I also think that the Jets are one of the worst teams in the league. And they look really poorly coached. And Aaron Rodgers has been playing the worst football of his career. And he's been blaming everyone except really himself. And so I think that the locker room might kind of be falling apart at the seams. And I think that Drake May is going to come out here and end the Jets season, because if the Jets fall to 2-6, it's over. It's done. And I think that's what's going to happen. Up next, Chiefs, Raiders. This one's easy. I'm going with the Chiefs. Chiefs are 10-point favorites. I would be extremely shocked if Kansas City loses this game. Just added DeAndre Hopkins. I assume we'll see him a little bit this week. And I'm not really going to pick against the Chiefs that much anymore. I picked against them last week, and it hurt me. So, until they show me otherwise, even with how Mahomes is playing, he had 44 passer rating last week. They still found a way to beat the defending NFC champs. So, Kansas on the road here should get it done pretty easily, I would like to believe. Up next, Green Bay, Jacksonville. I'm going to go with Green Bay here. I've been picking against Green Bay a lot the past couple weeks, and they've kind of made me eat it as well. I think that Jacksonville's, bottom 5 team in the league, and, they're coming off a win last week, but I don't think that matters. I think that Green Bay is looking pretty good. I think that, if Green Bay were to lose this game, it would be because Jordan Love is still careless with the football. But I think, I would like to think that eventually he's going to cut down on the turnovers, unless he just has a Brett Favre thing in him, and that's just who he is. And maybe that's what he'll be for the rest of his career. But I think the Packers will get it done on the road here for sure. Up next, Arizona, Miami. I'm going with Miami. Tua is back. I think that Miami's offense is going to look pretty good. I really hope that Tua can stay healthy and protect himself. But I think with him back, their offense is going to be full power again, and we should be seeing what we come to expect when Tua is quarterbacking the Miami Dolphins. Tennessee at Detroit. I mean, this one's just like, it's free, right? It's Detroit. Um, Tennessee, bottom five team, right? Um, and Detroit, top three team. So, is this a recipe for a trap game? I wouldn't think so. I think Detroit is really that good, and yeah, that one should be pretty easy. I would be shocked if that was a loss for Detroit. Up next, Buffalo at Seattle. Seattle's an interesting one because they started 3-0 and they lost three straight. They had a big win last week. So, big win against Atlanta. So part of me kind of wants to go Seattle here, but I'm gonna go with Buffalo on the road here. This one really could go either way, in my opinion. This is a type of game that I look at these, the logos, and it's like, man, like it would not surprise me if Buffalo found a way to lose this game, right? But I just think Buffalo's playing pretty well, and I think that they should be able to get it done. And by the way, guys, when I do these videos, a lot of the times, like I'm a Bears fan, so I know the Bears game schedule, and I know maybe the prime time games. But other than that, I'm seeing a lot of these matchups for the first time this week, so it's kind of just like doing it on the spot and kind of gauging how I feel from there. Up next, Saints and the Chargers. The Chargers should get this done, I would think. The Saints, I, I don't know. I mean, started 2-0 and looked really rough since then, and I think that the Chargers play kind of like a grimy, like beat you down kind of football where they'll run. It's very, very run heavy, and then they'll hit you with a couple passes, and I think that that's gonna really kind of control the game. Denver, Carolina. This one's pretty easy. Denver, Carolina looking really rough. I thought they would be a little bit better this year. Um, they are going to be starting Bryce Young again. Andy Dalton was in a car crash this week. Glad to hear that he is okay, and his family's all right. But they're going to be going back to Bryce Young, and unless Bryce Young has some kind of like revelation and he's all new and improved from sitting behind Andy Dalton, which I don't think will be the case, I think Carolina is going to still be pretty bad. And Denver, who has looked pretty good recently and has a really good defense, um, should be able to get it done for sure at home. Philly, Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Cincinnati here. I think Cincinnati's maybe coming alive a little bit. I still don't think they're that great. I think that they are a fringe playoff team right now. But I also think that Philly is like, there's just something weird about Philly this year, man. Like Nick Sirianni, like taunting and yelling at his own fan base and just like weird stuff. Like they're coming off a big win against Giants, but I just think that they're kind of due for a loss again, and I think that Cincy will be able to get it done. New York and Pittsburgh. This one's tough because I said it in yesterday's video, but I'm not really sure if the Russell Wilson we saw this past week is going to be the standard or if it's just kind of an anomaly. Um, so goes either way, but it is the Giants, so it's kind of like you're kind of flipping a coin on both sides, right? For the Giants, it's are you going to get the Giants that are always terrible, or are you going to get the once in a blue moon Giants and Daniel Jones, where hey, they actually look pretty good, and they look like a real NFL team, kind of like they did against Seattle. And then same thing on Pittsburgh side. Is it going to be good Russell Wilson or is it going to be bad Russell Wilson? I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here just because the defense is so good that I think that even if Russ struggles or were to have a bad game, the defense could probably still carry them to a win. And yeah. And then finally, the NFC games, we've got four of them. Tonight's game, the Vikings and the Rams. I like the Rams here. The Rams just activated Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, so the offense is kind of coming back to full strength. And we saw earlier this year when they were full strength, they went to overtime with Detroit. So I think that the Rams are a good team. They've just been suffering with some, really bad injuries. But I think that they'll be able to get it done here at home against the Vikings. I think this might kind of be the downward spiral for the Vikings, kind of the back to earth moment for them. Atlanta, Tampa Bay. We saw this game a couple weeks ago. It went to overtime. I think I'm going to go with Atlanta here. I just think it's really unfortunate what happened to Tampa this past week, losing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I just think that that's going to be too much of a collective loss to overcome, and I think that Atlanta will kind of get back on track here and get the win. Up next, Bears Commanders. This one's easy for me. I'm taking the Bears. I'm taking the Bears either way. If it is Jaden Daniels or if it's Marcus Mariota, I think that the Bears defense has been dominant. They are top 5 in almost every single statistic, and I think that Caleb Williams coming off the bye is going to have a really great week. I think he's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game against their defense, and I think that he's going to have a really good game. I think that DeAndre Swift is primed to have a pretty solid game, and I think that the defense is going to be able to lock down, Mariota or Jaden Daniels. I hope Jaden Daniels plays. I really want to see the 1 versus 2, but if he's not healthy or whatever, I get it. I don't want to risk further injury, and so I get it. But this one should be a pretty easy win for the Bears, assuming they don't come out of the bye and just have a meltdown like they have in teams past, right? And then finally, Dallas and San Francisco. I'm going to go with Dallas here. I don't think either of these teams are actually great this year. I think that Dallas is, borderline a bad team. But, with that being said, I think that there's a lot of. I'm changing my pick, actually. I'm going to go with San Francisco. I think Dallas is really bad. And I think that even though San Francisco lost Ayuk for the year, and they're not going to have McCaffrey obviously this week, and they're not going to have Deebo Samuel most likely, and they're most likely not going to have Kittle. I don't think that's going to matter. I just think Dallas, excuse me, is just bad. I think they are a bad team, and this to me is going to sound the alarms in Dallas, right? Because it's like, oh man, here comes San Francisco, a team that's been struggling this season, and now they have a ton of injuries. It's a really winnable game for Dallas, and I think they're not going to get it done. And maybe McCarthy's out after this week. Maybe some changes are made, but I think this is really going to kind of sound the alarms in Dallas. So those are my picks this week. Feeling pretty good about them. I felt like a lot of the picks this week were pretty easy, except for, maybe like the Dallas one and maybe the Pittsburgh Giants one and so on and so forth. But feeling pretty good. We're 56 and 51 on the season, so hopefully I can continue building on that. And as always, I appreciate you guys listening. I will see you in tomorrow's video for the Bears Commanders preview. And if you're new here, please like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at 100 subscribers. I would love if we can get there. I see a lot of you guys that are watching are not subscribed, so just hit that button. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps me grow the channel. So appreciate you guys as always. Bear down, and we will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.